I'm Nathan Brooks, and I'm standing in my own kitchen when I see it happen. My wedding ring, sitting there on her brother's hand like it belongs to him. Tom is laughing loudly, beer bottle in hand, showing it off proudly to his friend while my wife, Linda, stands nearby in the doorway, saying casually, "It's just sitting in a drawer anyway. Nathan never wears it." I literally can't breathe for a moment. The gold band catches the overhead kitchen light, mocking me from his thick, rough finger. It looks completely wrong there, totally out of place on someone else's hand. I ask her directly, trying desperately to keep my voice steady and calm, why exactly my wedding ring is currently on her brother's finger. She shrugs like I've just asked her about tomorrow's weather forecast. "You stopped wearing it months ago." He needed collateral for a loan. It's really not a big deal, honestly. Not a big deal. Those 3 words echo loudly in my head as I stare at the two of them standing there. Tom's smirk widens across his face, waiting eagerly for me to explode in anger. His friend shifts uncomfortably near the refrigerator. Linda crosses her arms defensively across her chest, chin raised defiantly like she's daring me to challenge her unilateral decision. I realize in that exact moment I've been completely demoted in my own marriage, reduced to someone whose personal symbols of commitment can be redistributed freely without any consultation whatsoever. Someone whose opinion apparently doesn't matter anymore. My hands shake slightly as I grip the kitchen counter for support. I could yell at them. I could throw them both out of my house right now. Instead, I say quietly and calmly, "Fine. Let's get it appraised properly." Tom's confident smirk falters for just a second. He thinks this will embarrass me publicly, prove it's practically worthless. He has absolutely no idea what he just agreed to. At Sunday dinner the next week, Linda tells the whole extended family I haven't acted like a proper husband in years. The accusatory words slice through the dining room like a sharp knife. We're sitting around her parents' formal dining table, the good china out for the special occasion. Her mother nods approvingly from directly across the table, adding her own bitter commentary about how I've apparently neglected Linda's emotional needs and completely failed as a supportive partner. Tom jokes loudly that at least someone in the family is finally putting the ring to good use. Everyone at the table laughs at that. Even Linda's younger cousin joins in enthusiastically, making some crack about how expensive jewelry shouldn't go to waste on someone who clearly doesn't appreciate its value. I sit there quietly, fork in hand, pushing food around my plate aimlessly, saying absolutely nothing in my defense. But inside my head, I'm making careful calculations, planning my next strategic move very carefully. The very next morning, I make one important call to the original jeweler, where I purchased the ring. His name is Bernard, and he's been in the jewelry business for over 40 years. He remembers me immediately when I mention my name and the custom piece. "Nathan Brooks. The custom wedding piece?" he asks, his voice warm with genuine recognition. Of course I remember that one. That was something really special. What he tells me next changes everything completely. He pulls up the original purchase record from his detailed database, and his professional voice drops with genuine reverence. That diamond wasn't any standard issue stone. Family-graded heirloom quality, custom cut to exact specifications, insured separately from the gold band itself. He pauses dramatically for effect. Current market value? Well over 6 figures easily, my friend. I thank him sincerely and hang up, my mind absolutely racing with possibilities. Tom thought it was worth maybe $5,000 maximum. Linda never knew what I actually paid, never asked, never cared enough to find out. I tell them both the professional appraisal appointment is scheduled for Friday afternoon. Tom suddenly looks nervous, the color visibly draining from his confident face. Linda corners me privately that same evening in our bedroom. We're supposed to be getting ready for bed normally, but she's deliberately blocking the doorway with her arms crossed tightly. "Why are you making this into such a huge public spectacle?" Her voice trembles somewhere between genuine anger and growing worry. I calmly explain that if it's being used as official collateral, we absolutely need proper valuation paperwork for legal protection. That's just basic responsible financial management, I tell her patiently. Her face pales visibly as I casually mention the separate insurance policy. She didn't know it was insured exclusively in my name only. She didn't know it legally can't be transferred without my explicit signature and written consent from me. "What are you even talking about right now?" she whispers, sinking down onto the edge of our bed. The ring is insured separately under a specialized high-value item policy. Transferring it without proper legal documentation could void the entire coverage completely. I keep my voice steady and matter-of-fact. It could also potentially trigger an insurance fraud investigation if something happens to it while it's missing. Her hand starts shaking visibly now. Tom already promised it to someone else, I suddenly realize. Some private lender who doesn't ask too many questions or properly verify legal ownership. If the actual value is completely wrong, if the paperwork doesn't match up properly, Tom's in extremely serious legal trouble. She sits there with her head buried in her hands, breathing heavily and shakily. "I didn't know any of this. You never told me any of it." "He didn't bother to ask me first," I reply simply and honestly. The silence hanging between us feels like an entire ocean has suddenly opened up, wide and completely unbridgeable. She's finally starting to understand the true magnitude of what she's done, but it might already be too late to fix it. I learned Tom isn't using the ring for just a small personal loan at all. My brother-in-law Kyle lets the truth slip after having a few too many beers at the local bar one evening after work. He's had way too much to drink and starts rambling carelessly about Tom's serious financial troubles. Tom apparently owes very serious money from a failed construction investment he made last year. Some land development deal that went completely south, leaving him holding the entire bag for everything. He told the private lenders the ring was worth exactly $10,000 on paper. Used it as collateral for a $20,000 loan at an absolutely outrageous interest rate. If it's worth significantly more than he claimed, they'll want it liquidated immediately to cover the full loan amount plus interest. If it's worth less than what he declared, they'll demand immediate cash to cover the difference between what he said and actual reality. Either way, Tom's in extremely deep trouble now. And Linda deliberately dragged my name directly into it without asking. My wedding ring, my deeply personal symbol of commitment, is now badly tangled in some shady loan arrangement I never agreed to or even knew existed. Kyle looks genuinely worried when he realizes what he's just told me, his eyes going wide with panic. "Don't mention I said anything about this, please." But I'm already carefully planning my next strategic move. Tom gambled carelessly with something sacred to me. Now he's going to learn the hard way what it was actually worth. The professional appraisal is in exactly 3 days. I've already confirmed Bernard will be thorough and completely professional with his assessment. Everything will be meticulously documented. Every single carat, every certification, every minute detail recorded officially and legally. Friday arrives with heavy tension hanging in the air. We sit uncomfortably in Bernard's quiet office, surrounded by elegant velvet displays and soft ambient lighting that makes everything feel solemn and official. The appraiser examines the ring very carefully under his specialized equipment, using his professional jeweler's loupe and various testing devices. Tom is sweating profusely despite the air conditioning running at full blast. Linda won't look directly at me at all. She's staring down at her hands in her lap, twisting her own rings nervously back and forth repeatedly. Across the polished desk, a man in a dark suit watches everything intently with cold, calculating eyes. He introduced himself earlier as officially representing Tom's lender. His presence makes this completely official now, no going back. Bernard works methodically and professionally throughout. He measures precisely, weighs carefully, examines the diamond under different colored lights for clarity. He pulls out the original certificates and documentation I provided earlier this week. Finally, after what feels like an entire hour, he looks up directly and speaks the number out loud very clearly. $127,000. The silence is absolutely deafening in the small room. Tom goes pale as a sheet instantly. His mouth opens, but absolutely no sound comes out at all. The lender representative raises a single eyebrow and immediately starts writing detailed notes in his leather portfolio. Linda gasps quietly, her hand flying up to cover her mouth in shock. Bernard continues speaking, calmly explaining the provenance, the custom cut specifications, the certification from the Gemological Institute of America. Each word is another nail in Tom's coffin. This just became very serious, very real, and very expensive for everyone involved in this mess. The lender representative speaks first, his voice cold and completely professional. Mr. Brooks, according to our records, your brother-in-law, Mr. Sullivan, declared this collateral at $10,000 on his official loan application. He shifts his gaze to Tom. Mr. Sullivan, that's a very significant discrepancy that needs immediate explaining. Tom stammers badly, trying desperately to explain himself somehow. I honestly didn't know the real value. Linda said it was. Your sister told you it was yours to use freely? The representative cuts him off sharply and efficiently. Do you have any documentation whatsoever proving ownership or legal transfer of this property? Because it's insured and registered exclusively to me personally. It was never legally valid collateral at all. Tom may have committed serious fraud by presenting it as his own property. The representative wants written clarification immediately, right now in this office. Tom turns on Linda furiously. You told me it was yours to give. You specifically said he'd abandoned it. She turns on me instead, voice rising hysterically and defensively. You never said it was that valuable, Nathan. How was I supposed to know what you actually paid? I say just one sentence, quietly, but very firmly and clearly. It was my wedding ring. The words hang heavy in the air, like lead. Bernard excuses himself politely to make copies of all the documentation. The lender representative is already on his phone, calling someone at his office. Tom looks like he might actually be physically sick. Linda's crying now, black mascara running down her cheeks in dark streams. I sit there, completely calm and collected. Everything I needed to happen is happening exactly as I planned it would. Linda's mother calls me that very same evening. Her voice is sharp and accusatory from the very first word. You're being completely ungrateful and vindictive. You're deliberately destroying this family over a rock. I don't argue with her or raise my voice at all. Instead, I very calmly email her the complete appraisal report as an attachment. I also attach the insurance clause that clearly states unauthorized transfer voids coverage entirely and may trigger a fraud investigation. I include the precise legal definition of what Tom actually did according to law. She calls back within exactly an hour. Her tone is completely different now, much more subdued and quiet. I didn't realize the full situation. Linda said you weren't wearing it anymore, that you didn't care about it. I wasn't wearing it because I work with my hands daily in construction. I explained patiently and clearly. I kept it safe and protected. In our bedroom safe. Linda removed it without asking me first or getting my permission. The silence on her end tells me everything I need to know. She's finally realizing her daughter crossed a very serious line. What happens now with all this mess? That depends entirely on Tom's lender. I say calmly and honestly. And on whether Tom can explain how he came to possess a six-figure item that wasn't legally his to use. She hangs up without another word. The family group chat, usually buzzing constantly with activity, goes completely silent. Everyone's seen the appraisal report now. No one's defending Linda or Tom anymore at all. I discover Linda removed my ring from our bedroom safe 6 full months ago. I find the concrete evidence while going through our home security footage for something completely unrelated. I'd installed cameras after a neighborhood break-in last year, and they cover the bedroom door angle perfectly. There she is, clear as day on the timestamp, opening the safe while I'm away at work. She removes the ring box carefully, examines it closely, then deliberately puts it in her designer purse. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision at all. This was planned and deliberate. When I confront her with the video footage, she claims weakly I wasn't wearing it anyway. As if that somehow gives her the right to give away. That's when I realized this wasn't actually about money at all. This was about respect. About control. about her feeling entitled to my property, my symbols, my entire life. I start looking very carefully at other financial documents. Our joint accounts, investment statements, property records. I need to know what else she's done without telling me first. What I find makes my blood run completely cold. There's activity I don't recognize. Transfers I didn't approve or authorize personally. My retirement fund has been touched without my knowledge or consent. I sit at the kitchen table, documents spread before me, and realize my wife has been treating our marriage like her personal bank account. I find a home equity line of credit open jointly, with Tom listed as co-signer on it. The application has my signature on it clearly, but I never signed anything like this. I pull out documents from my personal files and compare the signatures very carefully. The signature is close, but it's definitely not mine at all. Linda forged it. She assumed I wouldn't notice or check carefully. We have separate credit monitoring systems, and she probably thought this would slip through completely undetected. But I keep absolutely meticulous records. I always have since college days. The equity line is for $50,000 total. They've already drawn $30,000 from it. The money went directly to Tom's failed construction project. My house, my hard-earned equity, backing his terrible business decisions. Now this isn't about a ring anymore at all. It's about my financial future, my retirement security. Everything I've built over years of hard work. Linda has been systematically undermining everything I've built, and she thought I'd never find out or care. I make copies of absolutely everything. Every document, every statement, every suspicious transaction. I organize them chronologically in labeled folders. The pattern is crystal clear. This has been going on for well over a year now. I don't explode at her. I don't confront her immediately yet. Instead, I quietly call a lawyer. Everything needs to be legal. Everything needs to be properly documented. I need to protect myself correctly and legally. I meet with the lawyer on Monday morning. His name is Vincent, and he specializes in family law and financial fraud cases. He reviews my documentation with growing concern written all over his experienced face. "This is extremely serious," he says finally, looking up at me directly. The forged signature alone is a felony crime. The unauthorized equity line compounds it significantly. I want to protect my assets properly. I want to separate our finances in a legal way. Vincent explains the process carefully. Financial separation first, then we evaluate next steps. It doesn't have to mean immediate divorce, but it protects me legally. We file the paperwork that same afternoon. Vincent also strongly advises reporting the forged signature to the bank and possibly law enforcement. "You're the victim here," he reminds me firmly. I hesitate on the criminal report initially. Linda is still my wife, after all. But Vincent is absolutely firm. If you don't report it officially, you might be held liable for the debt. You need to establish clearly that this wasn't your action. I sign the police report, feeling like I'm betraying her. But it's self-preservation now. I also freeze my credit and put alerts on all our accounts. Nothing else moves without my explicit written approval. I don't threaten Linda. I don't announce my actions. I simply prepare quietly, methodically, protecting what's rightfully mine. I present Linda with paperwork on Wednesday evening. Not divorce papers yet, though she pales when she sees the legal envelope from Vincent's firm. It's a financial separation notice, carefully prepared by Vincent according to state law. She reads it slowly, her face cycling through confusion, anger, and finally genuine fear. "You're actually serious about this. You gave away my wedding ring. You forged my signature. You tied my house to your brother's debt." "Yes, I'm completely serious." She starts crying, saying I'm overreacting dramatically. That family helps family. That I'm being cold and calculating. But I notice she doesn't deny any of it. She doesn't apologize either. "You gave away my symbol of commitment," I tell her calmly. I'm adjusting mine accordingly. She crumples onto the couch, sobbing loudly. Part of me wants to comfort her out of habit, but a larger part remembers her shrug in the kitchen. "It's just sitting in a drawer anyway." Those casual words killed something fundamental in me. I leave the papers on the coffee table and go to the guest room. I've already moved my essential belongings there. We're sleeping separately now. This marriage is over in everything but name at this point. Tom's lender demands full repayment within 30 days. They learned the ring wasn't his to offer as collateral. Their legal team is mentioning fraud investigation, potential criminal charges against him. Tom shows up at my door on Thursday night, desperate and disheveled. Please, you have to sign something saying it was a misunderstanding. I stand in the doorway, not inviting him inside. You want me to lie for you? It wasn't fraud. Linda gave it to me. I didn't know the value. You presented property that wasn't yours as collateral. That's fraud legally, Tom. Whether you knew its exact value or not. He begs. Actually gets down and begs me. Offers to pay me back somehow. Promises he'll never ask for anything again. But I refuse to lie. I won't sign a false statement claiming it was a misunderstanding when it absolutely wasn't. I'll confirm ownership officially, I tell him. I'll provide the appraisal. I'll give them documentation showing the ring is mine. But I won't lie about what actually happened here. He leaves, completely defeated. I watch his truck pull away and feel nothing but relief. Truth only. That's my policy now. No more protecting people who don't protect me. Linda's mother shows up uninvited on Saturday morning. She stands on my porch with her arms crossed tightly. You're being financially abusive to my daughter. I invite her inside, calmly. I pull out my carefully organized folders. Every document, every forged signature, every unauthorized transaction. I show her the complete timeline. This is what Linda actually did, I explain. I'm not being abusive. I'm protecting myself from someone who's been systematically stealing from me. She flips through the papers slowly, her expression changing gradually. She sees the forged signature on the equity line. She sees the transfers to Tom. She realizes everything is documented, dated, absolutely undeniable. She made some mistakes, she says weakly. She committed multiple crimes, I correct her. Multiple felonies. I never broke the law. They did. She sits heavily in my chair, suddenly looking old. What do you want from all this? I want my property secured. I want my finances protected. I want people to stop acting like I'm the villain for refusing to be a victim. She leaves without another word. The family group chat explodes an hour later, but I've muted it completely. I don't care what they say anymore. The truth is documented. The original jeweler calls me on Monday morning unexpectedly. There's something else you should know about that ring, something important. My heart skips a beat. What is it, Bernard? The diamond came from your late father's estate. You asked me to use it in the wedding band, remember? It's been in your family for 3 generations. The memory crashes back like a wave. Dad died 2 months before my wedding. Mom gave me his ring, and I had Bernard incorporate the family stone into my wedding band. A way to carry Dad with me forever. Its value increased significantly because of the provenance, Bernard continues seriously. It's not just expensive. It's legacy. Family history spanning generations. I sit down heavily. Linda and Tom treated my father's legacy like pawnshop collateral. They gambled with 3 generations of my family's history. The betrayal cuts so much deeper now. I thank Bernard and hang up. Then I immediately call Vincent. We need to talk about the full value of what was taken from me. When I tell Linda about the diamond's origin, her face completely crumbles. She knew my father well. She was at his funeral. She heard me talk about wanting to honor his memory forever. I didn't know, she whispers. I didn't know it was a stone. You didn't ask, I reply. You saw a ring in a drawer and decided it was disposable. You never asked what it meant to me. She admits she resented the ring, somehow. Felt it symbolized control over her, somehow. She gave it away to prove a point. To show me she could. To assert her independence or power or whatever she tells herself. Now that point has cost her everything. Our marriage is dying. Her brother faces fraud charges. Her mother won't speak to her. And all because she wanted to prove she could give away my property. I want to fix this, she says desperately, reaching for me. But some things can't be fixed. Some betrayals cut too deep. She didn't just give away a ring. She gave away my father's memory, my trust, and any future we might have had together. Linda offers to cut Tom off completely. She'll testify against him if needed. She'll do absolutely anything to save our marriage. For a moment, it almost feels salvageable. Maybe we could rebuild from this. Maybe if she really commits to change and therapy. Then I check our shared savings account online. There's a transfer from 3 days ago. $15,000 moved to an account I don't recognize. I call the bank immediately. The account belongs to Tom. Linda transferred money to cover part of his debt. After everything, after the appraisal and the lawyer and the police report, she still chose her brother over me. She did it without telling me. Again, still protecting Tom, still putting him first, still treating our money like hers alone to distribute. That's the final crack. The moment I know this is truly over. She hasn't changed. She won't change. And I deserve better than someone who continuously chooses everyone else over me. I file for divorce on Tuesday morning. Calmly. No yelling, no dramatic scenes. I meet with Vincent, sign the papers, and have them served professionally. Linda receives them at work. She calls me immediately, sobbing hysterically. Please don't do this to us, Nathan. Please. But it's already done. The ring has been retrieved and secured in a bank safety deposit box, in my name only. Tom is facing his lender's consequences, without my interference. I've moved into a small rental temporarily. The peace feels strange, but clean. I'm sleeping through the night for the first time in months. No more wondering what Linda's doing behind my back. No more checking accounts for unauthorized transfers. I'm alone, but I'm safe. My property is protected. My finances are separated. My father's ring sits in a vault where no one can touch it without my permission. Freedom feels different than I expected. Quieter, sadder, but undeniably real and mine. Family members call constantly over the next few days. Linda's painted me as cold and petty, turning this into a story where I'm the villain over just a ring. I don't argue with them. Instead, I send one thing, the appraisal report, followed by the police report about the forged signature. And finally, the documentation of unauthorized transfers. Silence spreads through the family like a disease. Some people actually apologize. Others just stop calling. A few cousins reach out privately, saying they suspected Linda wasn't telling the whole truth. The narrative shifts gradually. Slowly, people realize this wasn't about a ring. It was about systematic financial abuse, forgery, and betrayal. I'm not the villain. I'm the victim who finally stopped accepting it. Linda's friends start unfollowing her on social media. The public opinion turns. She's no longer the wronged wife. She's the woman who stole from her husband and gave his father's ring to her deadbeat brother. I don't gloat. I don't post anything public. I just let the truth speak for itself. Tom loses his contractor's license temporarily due to the financial review triggered by the fraud investigation. Nothing I did directly, but the paperwork unraveled his other questionable business dealings. He stops answering calls from family members. His wife files for separation. His business partner dissolves their company. Everything collapses around him like dominoes falling. Part of me feels bad watching it happen. But mostly I remember him laughing in my kitchen, my ring on his finger, making jokes at my expense. He gambled and lost. That's not my fault or responsibility. Linda tries to blame me for his downfall. You destroyed him over a ring. No, I correct her firmly. He destroyed himself with fraud. I just refuse to be complicit in it. She has no response to that truth. The truth is uncomfortable, but it's still the truth. Linda's mother visits me one last time. She's polite now, almost meek. Family shouldn't end like this. We're sitting in my rental's small living room. I offer her tea, which she declines politely. Family shouldn't start like that either, I reply. Family shouldn't steal. Family shouldn't forge signatures. Family shouldn't treat sacred symbols like they're disposable. She looks older than I remember, somehow. Tired. Worn down. Linda made terrible mistakes. Linda committed crimes. Tom committed crimes. I'm not obligated to forgive that just because we're related by marriage. She nods slowly, understanding finally. What happens now? I move forward. I rebuild. I protect what's mine and make sure this never happens again to me or anyone else. She leaves, and I never hear from her again. Some relationships don't survive truth. That's okay. I'm learning to be okay with that reality. During divorce proceedings, Linda's home equity move is revealed to violate spousal disclosure laws. Not criminal, but costly. The judge is visibly unimpressed. You forged your husband's signature on a $50,000 credit line. The judge's tone is pure ice. Linda's lawyer tries to minimize it, but the documentation is crystal clear. Her credibility weakens with every revelation. My lawyer presents everything methodically. The ring, the forgery, the transfers, the lies. The judge awards me significant assets in compensation. The house goes to me, along with most savings. Linda gets minimal support and has to cover her own legal fees. She cries in the courtroom. I feel nothing. This is justice, finally. After months of being gaslit and stolen from, someone in authority is holding her accountable. Vincent squeezes my shoulder as we leave the courthouse. You did the right thing. The ring is reappraised officially for asset division. Because it predates parts of the marriage and came from inheritance, it remains entirely mine. The symbol they dismissed becomes my financial shield. The court also orders Linda to repay the $15,000 she transferred to Tom. It came from our shared savings without authorization, making it theft legally. She claims she doesn't have the money. The judge doesn't care. He sets up a payment plan with penalties for late payments. Tom's lender settles their case separately. Tom declares bankruptcy, which doesn't erase the fraud but limits his criminal exposure. He'll never work in construction again, at least not officially. I watch the legal proceedings with detachment. These are consequences they created. I'm just the person who refused to lie about it. The house must be sold to cover debts created by the undisclosed credit line. Linda moves in with her mother. Tom is living in a friend's basement apartment. I lose a marriage, but I keep my integrity. And I keep my father's ring. The appraisal didn't just measure a diamond. It measured loyalty, respect, and the price of betrayal. I buy a small lakeside cabin with my share of the house sale. It's quiet, peaceful, and entirely mine. No shared accounts, no joint decisions, no wondering if my property is safe. The first night there, I sleep better than I have in years. Months later, I receive a handwritten letter from Linda. She's in therapy now, working on herself, understanding why she felt entitled to my property. She apologizes, genuinely this time. I read it twice carefully. Then I file it away in a drawer. Apologies are nice, but they don't undo damage. They don't restore broken trust. They're just words written on paper. I don't write back to her. There's nothing left to say. She made her choices. I made mine. We're both living with the consequences now. Some people tell me I should forgive her, move on, let it go. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I can wish her well from a distance while still protecting myself. That's healthy. That's wise. That's survival. I sit alone at my quiet lakeside cabin, watching the sun set beautifully over the calm water. I slide the ring back on my finger carefully. Not for her. Not for anyone else. For myself. For my late father. For the legacy it represents. The appraisal didn't just measure a diamond's worth. It measured what people were willing to gamble with. It measured the distance between who they claimed to be and who they actually were deep down. I didn't ruin their lives deliberately. They gambled carelessly with something sacred, something truly irreplaceable. I just asked for it to be valued properly and honestly. And the numbers told the complete truth. Tom thought he could use it for a quick loan. Linda thought she could give it away to prove a point. Her mother thought family meant accepting abuse. They were all wrong. And the $127,000 appraisal proved it conclusively. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need dramatic confrontations. I just needed the truth, documented and undeniable. And this time, finally, the truth was enough. The ring catches the beautiful sunset light, the same way it caught the kitchen light that first terrible day. But now it's where it belongs, safe, valued, and protected. Just like me.